So why do you choose to practice sustainable farming?
So for me, it really comes from a desire. For me, I farm for the lifestyle, not just for the income, because I can make more money doing something else. But I'm a follower of Jesus, and as a result of that, I really want to be able to disciple my children. I feel like He's called me to be a good steward of the resources of His creation, as well as serve people with good food in my own family as well. So the sustainability aspect comes from my belief that everything belongs to God, and so I need to be taking care of it, not just using it up for my own selfish purposes. So sustainability, I feel like, goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden, where God told Adam to care for and work the land, not just to use it up. And so I feel like, for me, true sustainability is a balance of both utilizing and caring for the resources that we have. Because on one hand, you can leave it all alone and it goes to waste. Or on the other hand, you can use it all up and it wastes it. So it's that kind of that balance that you have to kind of walk the line to be able to. So it really comes from my desire to serve the Lord ultimately as a Christian, in terms of why I do it the way I do it.
So what are some of the practices you use, like some of the techniques like IPM or no-till farming or crop rotation?
Yeah, it's very similar to all those things that you said. So the way that we do our crops, our two major principles that we follow is no deep inversion of the soil, so minimal tillage, and always keeping a mulch cover on the ground. Both are just, in our worldview, we recognize that God made everything. He knows more about it than we do. So when we look at the woods, that's the way that it is. There's no deep tilling. And there's always a mulch cover on the ground. And when we apply that to our farming like this, like these greens, even when I grew them, the field that I had them in had a little bit of mulch, but it's basically decomposed at the moment, but just not tilling the ground. Even though we had all these hard, heavy rains, these greens are basically clean. Like the dirt itself was not, like it was stable. It didn't erode away, it didn't splatter on the plants, and it's amazing to see that as a farmer because I've seen what it does when you do till it. So the minimal tillage and mulching in with our animals, a lot of it has to do with rotating them, keeping them as close as possible to what their natural habitat would be in terms of the way they were designed to live. So our eggs come from chickens that are outside. They have portable coops that they can range out from, but they're protected with electrified netting, and then we move them about once a week to a fresh spot on the farm, and that produces egg that everybody that buys it from us is very pleased with. And for me, I don't know exactly how it all works, but I figured the closer we can get it to the way God intended chickens to live, the better product it's going to make in the end.
Yeah.
And do you think sustainable farming is a like viable option for like large scale production of food, like enough to like completely replace or majority replace the way it is now?
Well, ultimately, true sustainability, the only other option to sustainability is unprofitability in the long term. So really, ultimately, that's what we're going to have to go to in order to continue long term with any agriculture at all. Because if you're saying something's unsustainable, then it's unprofitable, and you're using more than you're producing.
Yeah.
Ideally. So on a larger scale, you're going to have to rethink a little bit the way that you do things. It's not something that you need to change quickly overnight, per se, because people depend on the food with large systems. So if you told everybody to stop farming a certain way and change, that might not be the way this way. But being faithful with little and learning a little bit at a time and applying those changes, I think it's very viable, and I'd rather see more farms locally producing than just a few larger farms. Somebody said, how can we feed the world? And it's more, well, we don't have to feed the world. We need to teach the world to feed itself. We need to teach people to feed themselves, not just bear all the responsibility for all the food for everybody else.
And in the future, do you see the sustainable farming movement growing and like spreading and becoming what would be considered the best way to do so?
I think it is, because ultimately it is the most productive and the most profitable in the long run. And eventually it's going to be what we're left with after we reap the consequences of imbalance in either direction. So I do see that the trend is moving towards that, but at the same time, the selfishness of our hearts, we tend to fall in one way or the other by default. So I feel like it's more of a heart motive, a heart issue than just a methods issue. That's all.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, you're very welcome.